Hi, I'm Suze, the holistic stylist. Namaste. I'm here with what I feel like is a timely message on the future of our industry and a short history of how we got here, which includes, of course, part of my own personal story, directly tying into organic salon systems and organic color systems and all the other non-toxic alternatives which are now at the forefront of our beauty industry. By now, hopefully, you've seen me around on Facebook. I'm coming close to day 300 soon. You may have read a comment I posted, or maybe you know about my never-ending story in Ferguson and the saga with my 30-year business. Nevertheless, we're all family, we're all artists, we all love having creative control, and we're all here as a support group for one another. So with that, I come in complete appreciation and humility of this wonderful opportunity for us to speak. I believe you guys are holistic stylists as well, and really that's a fairly new term in the beauty business. Anyone who gives of themselves, educates themselves, and aspires to help their clients in a mind-body-spirit connection, in my book, is a holistic stylist. Now, say for example, I love my clients, so if I had the opportunity to use the first permanent ammonia-free hair color ever offered in North America, I did it because I love them, but I also did it so I didn't have to breathe in ammonia, and I'm sure that you all appreciated that the first time you smelled that bottle. But my journey of awareness with what we're going to call natural-based alternatives was back in 1987 when I found out there was an alternative to peroxide called an enzyme developer. And so I became aware of Trionics enzyme developers, which were the first one to develop a cream-based developer. And really, I'll tell you the difference, honestly, between any peroxide and any enzyme developer. Trionics, for example, used 9 oceanic plant enzymes, which became a supercatalyst in their base formula, which, yes, would be considered peroxide. And just so you know, by definition, peroxide is 18% ammonia gas that is suspended in water. And peroxide is a heavy chemical. It's absolutely free because it is runoff of industrial waste. Our industry marks it up hundreds of times. And we want to know, say, why 75% of the female population colors their hair, but only half of those do it in the salon. And I always believed the reason is because the consumer was educated enough to know that essentially these same ingredients that, say, would be in an over-the-counter hair color like the Big C would be very, very similar to the professional formula for that same Big C. I researched it once and actually did a proof in picture right here, and there were only 4 things that were different. One of the biggest things was in the box version, they used lanolin to make a slip agent, whereas with the professional one, they used Pathanol. So you understand at that point what I'm talking about. Now, we have been in the top 5 most toxic service industries for the last century. And recently there's been hot gossip in the community that all of us have been fed a false program. No matter how educated, we've all been duped. So I hope you take that to heart and never take it personal. because really, I would hope that everybody would continue to support organic salon systems, whether or not they choose to stick with organic color systems. They were the first supply house to step out and dare to bring us an alternative. So in the last decade, there's been great changes when it comes to cleaner alternatives for body, skin, and hair care. And if you think about it, there was no alternative for our ammonia-based hair colors in all of North America, which includes Canada and Mexico, before 2003. So we're only dealing with this a decade, guys, but my story, I think, may help you to have courage to know that you are already hair color professionals and you will know how to formulate your new color line. I saw one of the posts actually used hair swatches, and I've been doing that for years. So anybody can swatch, say, a red-based brown on a level 5 and see what the underlying pigment is and adjust accordingly. So, my story, like I said, it goes back to 1987, where I made a decision to use enzyme developers instead of peroxide. And by 1992, I had met Marvin LeBeau, who was the president of Trionics and still is, bless his heart. And I became his educator and the girl that helped him work on the directions and such. But during those years, I researched something. It was referenced from a book called A Consumer's Guide to Cosmetic Ingredients by Ruth Winters. And it says, what is going on in the international world of hair color? And I will get this up eventually, but I'll just show it to you here. And it says, in Japan, cosmetic manufacturers, as well as manufacturers of quasi-drugs, must be licensed by the government. All labels are required to list ingredients and the amounts of those ingredients, and fanciful names and claims are prohibited. In Australia, any poisonous compound in a cosmetic must be so designated by the product label. Phenylenediamine hair dyes are included under this regulation. And as you all know, that's what we had been using until 2003. Chile requires that label claims and television ads be approved. In the United States, on the other hand, a false claim is made in an advertisement. It falls within the province of the Federal Trade Commission unless it is a mail order claim. In this case, it's under the jurisdiction of the postal officials. All three agencies dread following through on false claims made by cosmetic companies, because it takes years to bring the offender to court, plus thousands of dollars, and the penalty is usually no more than a slap on the wrist. Furthermore, after conviction, many such offenders merely change the name of their companies and start all over again. So, let's go back to us being licensed professionals. Our license gives us the good fortune of receiving all of the liability that was on the manufacturer of the chemical until purchased by the licensed professional. So, instead of running around trying to sue the person that actually made the product, they come right to you, the hairdresser. And of course, that's why we're all heartbroken now. We have clients with multiple chemical sensitivity. We believe what we say, and then something like this comes out, and people say, well, you know, you said it was this and that. This is where we really have to forgive and understand, and it becomes understanding. We're all going to find the way, and we're all going to be together. All right, back to the paper. In Spain, there is mandatory registration and licensing of manufacturers and products, and the manufacturers must have control laboratories. In the United States, registration and pre-testing are still voluntary. Since 1971, Sweden has had an ombudsman who handles complaints concerning the efficiency of cosmetics. He has the power to summon a manufacturer to a hearing where the matter may be threshed out. Swiss hair dyes, unlike American products, may not contain paraphenyldiamine or paranormaldehyde or pilocarpine. Since 1970, the Netherlands has required that cosmetics shall neither be injurious if used as directed, nor be possibly injurious. Cosmetics may not contain methanol except as a denaturant, benzene, anilines, paraphenyldiamines, benzosine, resorcinol, tricresyl phosphate, and pilocarpine. You know, they say if you can't say it, you shouldn't be putting it in your mouth or on your body. Isn't that funny? So, here's our first page. Now, we're seeing that this heats up in the 70s. And remember, here in the United States, what we were dealing with as hairdressers was clients running terrified out of the salon because they had heard that the hair color caused cancer. Later on, we find out it was the dark pigments. So here again, this was color stock that the FDA allowed, and we really didn't know. We just knew how to mix, measure, and apply. So let's forgive ourselves or anyone else that has ever suffered cancer at the hands of a chemical. It's the time now. In the 70s, we saw a lot of frost and tip and highlights, you know. Then we rolled into the 80s. Now I came into the industry in the 80s. A little about the background of when enzymes came online. The first enzyme company was called Anion, and they survived for about 2 years. Now here's what happened to them, because I've known this story for years. Enzyme developers are an advanced replacement for hydrogen peroxide. They can be used with anybody's hair color line. So you can imagine how upset Redken was when Anion went right up to him and said, hey, our developer, let's go test side by side and see whose does better. That company lost their neck. Stevens Enzyme Developers was around when I hit the industry in 1985, opening my salon, and they didn't have that cream base. They were highly unstable in my opinion, and as soon as I found Trionics, I dropped Stevens like yesterday's news. There was also a company out of Canada at one time called Charleston, and they of course went under as well. Sad but true. Now, this is the early 90s, mid 90s, and by 1998, I was so thrilled because there came to be a national certification for us hair colorists, and in their test manual, they compared enzymes to peroxide side by side, lightened 2 hair swatches, did timing on it, and checked it and saw that the enzyme developer swatch came up lighter, faster, and of course we know the longer the bleach is on the hair, the more damaging it is. So we're seeing that we have every reason to use this enzyme developer. But in their test manual, they said, you can draw your own conclusions. Now, of course, me thinking that I knew everything about it, took the test, passed, and wanted to be the person to share the enzyme knowledge. And here again, you know, in ancient cultures, you were not even allowed to speak in public until the age of 35 to 40, an age of wisdom. Unfortunately, I was 34. But more than that, as you guys know, there's 2 ways to work in this industry. And if you work for someone of great status, you will be told what color line you will use. If you're self-employed or do booth rental or an independent contractor, you know that you have the choice on what color line that you would love to use. So I understand that the people in high places were under obligatory contracts to have to use their particular brand. And in the middle, a lot of people got hurt. So I send love and appreciation to the American Board of Certified Hair Colorists also for having the balls to at least test it in their manual and bring it to the forefront for me. So I appreciate that very much. Like I said, that was 1998, and so from there I went on to bust my head up against a wall and try to bring it to the world. So back to organic color systems. Imagine these are the first manufacturer to make it into our borders. And through choices of words and advertising, people are led to assume that something is completely this, that, or the other. And there is no power or entity at this time on the planet that has the potential to make that happen. I think soon we may see it, so just hang on. In the meantime, my focus became reaching out to people, and I have a huge clientele that drives from all around to get Enzyme developers because nobody else uses them. So anything that you'll see connected to Enzyme education, you might see Suze Pratt connected to it. In 2005, I started doing wellness seminars through the salon. So I was incorporating any natural lines that could benefit my clients. And honestly, by that time, I was choosing products that you could buy at the health food store. There was one product line, bless their hearts, and now I'm not going to be able to think, oh, Simply Organic, my bad. They came on the scene, but an 8-ounce bottle of shampoo was $40, and depending on what socioeconomic area that you're in, your client may pay less to get a haircut than they would a bottle of shampoo. I happen to be coming to you from Third Cosmic Ray, St. Louis, Missouri, one of the lowest socioeconomic groups of individuals, they say statistically, so my clients cannot afford a $40 bottle of shampoo. I still chose years ago to bring them the best hair color service I could, because before I became a hairdresser, no one much paid attention to me. And so when I became a hairdresser, and these people were my friends, I decided I was going to do the best by them I could, and it made me feel better about myself and my craft. So that was my choice and my responsibility. But in 2005, this is the way that I worded it to my audience. So I think even the words sound arrogant now, but I am going to share them with you because I'm sharing my journey. So it says, masked in a veil of good smells, enticing packaging, and promises of enhanced beauty, can one of the most toxic industries actually be altered to meet the needs of the 21st century? Think not, you could be dead wrong. Trend 2005, holistic hairdressing in your health. This is the belief that the individual is more than an aggregate of parts. A hairdresser's job is thought to be one of creating an illusion of one's outward appearance. Holistic stylists like Suze Pratt, owner of the Hair Emporium, believe the whole person, mind, body, spirit must be nurtured for beauty to flourish. It has been said that beauty comes from within. How do potentially carcinogenic or toxic ingredients make one more attractive? In the cosmetics industry, the FDA has refused to require the industry to disclose ingredients due to trade secret considerations, and still takes the position that consumers are not adversely affected and should not be deprived of the enjoyment of these products. If consumers were aware of their favorite product's toxicity levels, it would be surprising if they actually enjoyed using these products as much as they thought. Technology thinks us to be intelligent and rational creatures, while asking us to believe toxins can ease the mind or calm the spirit. Illusion is fleeting as youth, while true beauty will follow you a lifetime. That's reality. Wise counsel suggests that we don't put anything on our skin that we wouldn't put in our mouths. Safe alternatives exist to the status quo, although generally unadvertised. We have a responsibility to put our reading skills to use and embrace the ugly truth behind the beautiful facade. 5 chemicals to avoid. So these are the big ones, guys. And you know what? Before we read this list, let me tell you how I ever came to even start to discern, which would mean to really investigate instead of just judge and get upset. I started living for my blood type, and that's a stress management, wellness kind of a thing. And in that philosophy, Dr. D'Adamo would teach that when you're looking at your list of foods, for example, you would identify the ones that are poisons to you. And at that point, you would say, okay, out of every 10 things I put in my mouth, 2 of these can be poison. The foods that are beneficial for you neutralize the foods that are poisonous. And the foods that are neutral are exactly what they say, they're neutral. They fill you up. So I took blood type eating to the extreme as normal because I am quite the rebel and I always like to take things to the extreme point of wherever I feel it to be right. So I applied this philosophy to things that we put on our body as well. So we have 2 out of 10 poisons on a bottle of hair color or styling product, shampoo, conditioner, whatever. Something interesting to state at this time, if you're still using shampoos, styling aids and the such, I'm sorry guys, but that use any of the parabens, and there's several, 4 or 5 as we know, if there's more than 2 parabens in an ingredient list, they create the same carcinogenic compound as what, say, like smoking or drinking or eating pork or any of that does. So we don't want to judge it, we just want to be aware and count and make choices in our personal healthcare regimes. If you have courage after the food and the things that go on your body, then we have our thoughts. And here again, hairdressers are healers. And all of our clients and all of our coworkers and all of our families mean something to us. So I appreciate your time and I appreciate your interest in being pioneers in a new school of thought. Keep the faith, guys. We're going to see grand days. So, with that, peace out from the Holistic Stylist at the Big Yellow House on the 3rd Cosmic Ray in St. Louis, Missouri. Thanks.